I'm Lauren Whitehurst. I'm a certified personal trainer and certified nutrition coach.
Hi, I'm Sunny Lippincott. I'm a certified professional life coach and a certified brain health professional.
We also have Angela Salyers, who is a licensed professional counselor, and the three of us together make up
Whole Life Vitality.
We teach whole life vitality of the mind, body, and soul, bringing the physical, emotional, and spiritual together for whole life wellness.
Welcome.
Welcome back. Sunny,
Yes,
it is an interesting time of year up in here.
it is.
I feel like we are asked all the things of all the people, especially this time of year. It's like it's the season of giving, so you should just make sure that you give everything to everyone all the time.
Yourself. Just give up. Just give your whole self to me. I've got this party and that party and this parade and this luncheon and this speaking event.
We were invited to a party the other day, and my friend, I replied back to her and I said, I'm so sorry. My son has a game literally the exact same time on the exact same day. Yeah. I'm so sorry we won't be able to come. And I also added in, and just looking at my calendar is giving me anxiety because there's so much on the calendar. Full. But I feel like this time of year with all those invitations, it is really hard for a lot of people. And I feel like I can attest to this because I was one of those people for a very long time, to say no, to not people please. If someone asks of anything of me, then I'm like, okay, I need to have a really, 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 really good reason to say no, or I need to give them some sort of like consolation. Like, okay, I can't do that, but I can do this. Can I please just give you this instead? What can I do? Can I make it better?
How long did it take you to write up that reply?
Oh my gosh. That one, it's a testament to the healing that I'm doing to be able to write it as quickly as I did. But once I actually finally sat down with my calendar, I immediately wrote out the reply and sent it.
The previous ones before your healing?
Before my healing, I might not have written it. I might have written it and then stared at it for a long time and then come back to it the next day and then stared at it for a long time and then maybe wait until I saw them in person and then like tried to justify it or tried to like change all of my other plans. I'm sorry, I'm trying to work it out. I would really want to be there. What can I do? Can I come beforehand? Can I help you set up with the party? And then I'll just go and then maybe I'll come back and I'll help you clean up afterwards.
Yeah. Or can I babysit your kids one night? Y'all can go out to dinner and I'll keep your kids for you.
Yes. It doesn't make any sense. None of it makes any sense. The thing is, people pleasing like that, in that way, is a trauma response.
Yeah.
It is a trauma response. It is not logical. It does not make any sense. Someone is inviting you to do something or asking you for something because people are allowed to ask or they're allowed to invite. And that's just part of a give and take type of relationship. Yeah. I have asked Sunny for things before and sometimes it works and she's like, oh yeah, that works. And sometimes she's like, yeah, it doesn't really work. Totally fine. No hard feelings.
Or have you been that person where you had to be on the asking end and it caused you so much anxiety to ask where you were like, hey, if it doesn't work out, that's totally fine. No pressure. It's okay. I just thought I would ask, but listen, you look at you give them like 6 paragraphs before you actually just come out with it.
6 paragraphs telling them all the ways that you're okay or like all the outs that they can take before you even get to the point where you're willing to ask the thing. And then you get to the bottom of it and you're like, that's what you wanted? That's the thing you wanted? Really? And I mean, I say this, but I've done this. I think that it is very likely that even within the last 6 months, you have received a text from me that has also ended with, if it doesn't work, no hard feelings, it's totally fine.
It's totally fine. It took, not that, revert back to our healing versus healed podcast. Absolutely. If you haven't, because this will be an ongoing people pleasing, learning how to, heal through people pleasing will be an ongoing issue. You're not just going to turn it off and one day just be like, no.
Right. Well,
period, to everything.
And if you get to the point where you've completely turned it off like that, then you've done a different
that's a whole nother problem.
Because you've put walls between you and the rest of the world, which also keeps anything positive or good from getting through.
Yeah, which is another trauma response. So you just jumped ship from one trauma to another one.
You just moved out of Whoville into the Grinch's cave.
But actually coaching helped me with this because I would always make myself uncomfortable in order to help someone else.
Yep.
So if someone asked for help, then I am going to make sure that I screw up everything that I had to do in order to make them more comfortable. And it took me to getting into coaching that, you just learn so much through coaching anyway. Yeah. But it took me having a business and actually, coaching clients where that time was not available. And it forced me to, I can't overextend myself with coaching because these people are relying on me to be my best for them, to show up and do my best and to be the best version of me to help them on their journey.
Well, you start to realize that by helping one person, you're hurting another person.
Yes.
Even if, especially because that person wasn't you. The person you would be hurting wasn't you. Because when we're just hurting ourselves, sometimes it's easier to rationalize and say, well, it's fine. I'm fine. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. But you're really hurting yourself. Yeah. But when you're actually hurting someone else, telling someone else no who really needs you, that you already told yes, just to accommodate someone else entirely who hadn't committed to yet, that's when I think it starts to put it into perspective.
Yeah. What is that? Every time you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else.
It's true. There's only a certain amount of hours in the day.
Absolutely. So it's all about to heal. The path to healing from that is really your priorities. Where are your priorities and what is your why behind it all? And so for me, being the best version of me means that, I have to have this time to prepare for this client. So if I say yes to this, and then I have to immediately jump into a coaching session when I haven't gotten everything prepared and had my, quiet time of mindfulness before stepping in, I'm not giving them my best.
Yep.
And that's not okay for me. So it had to, I don't have this available. And I'm sorry, that's not available. This is what I do have available. Does that work for you?
Yep. You don't have to bend over backwards to accommodate every person that you meet. Yeah. And that's okay. I feel like people need to know that if you're not filling a void in someone else's life, something else or someone else will. It is not your responsibility to fix everything for everyone. And I say that out loud to you because I've had to say it 500 million times to myself.
Yes. So people pleasing. You're probably sitting there listening saying, okay, that sounds great, but what do I do?
Yeah.
It starts with boundaries.
Yeah.
Okay. The step to, the healing process for people pleasing starts with setting boundaries. So if you're one of those people who are, every time your phone goes off and, I've got to answer this person. I've got to return this person sent me a message on Facebook. I've got to return this. Oh, they think I'll hate them or da-da-da-da-da. Or my business, I've got to respond immediately so that I can get the 5 stars of my business and all these things. Okay. I'm not going to tell you to throw your phone in the trash. As a coach, you're going to start small. So what I'd tell you is to set boundaries. So if you are going to dinner, you just sat down to dinner and someone has texted you a work question, or someone has sent you a message or made a comment on a post that you made or a reel or all the things. Well, you set a boundary that right now, this is my dinner time. So I'm going to respond to that after dinner. I'm spending this time with my person, my children. Even maybe you're just spending it with yourself.
That's what I was going to say.
That's important too.
Your time with yourself is so important as well. I wish I could remember who said it. I'll find it. If you don't follow the Quote of the Day podcast, oh my goodness,
Sean Croxton is fantastic.
We we both listened to him, and this was one of the quotes that he did. And I will remember at some point because I was so inspired that I actually went and got the guy's book. So I'll post it somewhere in the description. But he talks about, what is your word worth? He had everyone come into his seminar, and he gave them an entire list of things and had them initial next to everything that they agreed to. And people went down and initialed it all. And, they went about their day and they did the conference, and they came back the next day and he said, okay, now get out that sheet that you initialed. Now let's go down the list and talk about every single thing that you agreed to. Did you do them all? How many of you did the first one? How many of you did the second one? Went down the entire list. And of course, they get to the end of the list and he goes, then why did you say you would? Then why did you initial? Why did you say you would? Because only agree to the things that you actually have the capacity to follow through on.
Absolutely.
Because if you can't follow through on your word, it means nothing. And if your word means nothing to everyone else, then it means less than nothing to yourself. Because you know what you're actually willing to do when you put your name on something. You know what your capacity is. And if you choose to say, this is me time, and I am going to have that for me, and I'm going to take care of me, and I'm going to make myself a yummy meal, and I'm going to have a nice bath, or I'm going to read a book, and I'm going to have this quiet time. And then someone else comes in and says, hey, will you babysit my kids?
Yeah.
And you say, of course I will.
Yeah.
Your word to yourself means nothing.
And let me tell you something that matters.
It does.
Okay. You think that it doesn't matter, that their happiness, that person's happiness, making sure that they're happy with you, that's what's important. It's not. I can promise you, how you view yourself means so much more.
Well,
Listen.
You can't actually treat other people with respect until you respect yourself.
Yes.
You think that you're being kind and you're being respectful of these people by saying yes all the time. But if you're running yourself ragged, that's just a form of being selfish.
Yeah.
You're running yourself into the ground, and then you can't actually be there for the things that are most important, for the things that you prioritize the highest. Then those things come into play and you're spent. There's nothing left to give.
And it's not your job. Someone else's happiness, people pleasing, it's such a funny term because you're actually not in control of that at all.
No.
And saying yes to them and making sure that you're always at their disposal is not actually pleasing them. Because you are not in charge of that.
And a lot of times it's enabling them.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So it starts with boundaries, and that starts with your why. What is important to you? Being present, is that important to you? So spending time with those you love, is that important to you? Would you say that that's important to you? If that's important, if you're willing to write your word on that the people I love, being present to them is important to me, then you're going to put the phone down when you're at dinner. You're going to put the phone down during their ball game, during their program, while they're trying to show you or talk about their day to you. That's going to be important.
And it doesn't mean that saying yes to other people can't be super high on your priority list. If that is high on your priority list, then you adjust your day accordingly.
Yes.
And so if you're like, well, I want to make sure that I fill my cup and I'm taken care of and prepared for whatever comes to me today. And then I want to be available for these people. Yeah. And anytime these people message me and say, I need you, then I'm going to run to it. So you get up in the morning and you take care of yourself. Yeah. You exercise. You have your mental health time. You have your morning routine. You take care of what you need to take care of for yourself so that you're available to do whatever else comes up.
Absolutely. Listen, I live my life for service. Like, service is my why. That's my purpose, is service to others. I love service. I love helping people. But even at that, I also, I love my husband, and I love my kids, and I love myself. And so I have to set a clear boundary there of, when I can be of service and how I can be of service and how I can also be a proper spouse and a proper mother and a proper Sonny to myself. Yeah. And that's really, really important, utmost important, is God is asking me to put him first, to put my spouse first, to put my kids first, and then my service, being the best version of me. But even that why, I'm not doing it to make sure that that person is happy. That should never be why you're saying yes to someone, is to make them happy. No. You're saying yes to be of service to them.
The needing them to be happy is just a trauma response for yourself. It is a broken you inside where you didn't get enough of something. You didn't get enough love. You didn't get enough affection. Maybe you have some issues with abandonment. Maybe you felt like you weren't cared for in the way that you needed to be cared for. So instead of pouring into these other places, maybe let's look inside and see about healing that broken part in you, so that then you can be that best version for someone else, the best version of you for someone else. I heard once from a good friend of mine, she said, I think I've quoted her before, that being an emotionally mature adult means being responsible for your own physical, emotional, and spiritual well-being, and allowing other people to do the same.
Oh, that's good.
And it's that last piece of allowing other people to do the same. You need to give other people the space to be responsible for their own physical, spiritual, and emotional well-being.
Absolutely.
Because that's how we grow.
Yes.
And that's how we become better people.
And that's where boundaries come in, is making sure that when you set that boundary, then you're forcing them to, okay, you're going to take this time to think through it, to work through it, to maybe come up with an ulterior, solution, but it gives them space. And there has been times with coaching that I was not able to be there for them in that moment. Now coaching is ongoing, it's a relationship I have with my clients. And so, if something comes up, they can ask me a question. And there has been times that I was not available in that moment. And the beautiful thing is, when I was available and I got back to them, they said, you know what? I worked through it. Mm-hmm. My first inclination was to reach out to you because I was experiencing this, but because you weren't available, I did this instead, and I was able to work through it. And I'm so glad that I did. And I was like, there it is. There it is. Boundaries are so important for both sides. So in the mornings, setting that boundary that, okay, I'm going to spend this time on myself. This is my time to fill my tank. So I will not respond to emails. I will not respond to text messages. I will not look at my social media for this X amount of time. Okay, and now I'm done. I can respond. I'm offering myself. I filled myself up. This is my time to respond. Okay, now this is my break time. This is my lunch time. I'm going to spend this time and decompress. Okay, I'm not going to answer calls while I'm spending this time. Giving yourself that time. Or I'm going to go to the gym tonight and I'm going to work out some of this like stress that I've dealt with. I'm not taking my phone. So I'm going to spend this hour either taking a walk, going to the gym, playing a basketball game, whatever it is. I'm going to spend this time and this is my time. Afterwards, I will respond. Mm-hmm. Is setting up those boundaries for yourself, however they look, whatever they look like, but making sure that your health and your wellness and your mindfulness is first priority before the service comes in.
And it doesn't mean that it has to be completely rigid. Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean that this can't be fluid situation for you. Mm-hmm. You made a commitment to yourself, and just like you would make a commitment to a friend, mm-hmm. if something that really needs to be addressed comes up, you can say, all right, self, we're not going anywhere.
Yes.
I'm just going to reschedule you. I'm going to move this from here to here. I'm prioritizing this time with both situations. And it can be that. But just like with a good friend that you have rescheduled lunch 3 times because everything else that comes up is more important, at some point they're going to get their feelings hurt and they're going to realize that you don't actually want to have lunch with them,
Yeah.
and that everything else is more important.
Yeah.
And just like that person is going to stop rescheduling with you, you are going to stop believing yourself that you're actually going to get that time.
Or even on the flip side, if you have tried to schedule with a friend and 3 times you have canceled because something else came up for work that had to be done, that's a problem too. You've got to find that balance. You have to find that balance of pushing yourself to get to the point of, all right, I have set this time. And after you set the time for a while, all right, you know what? I'm feeling good. I'm at a good place. I can give this time up for this person right now. That's okay. I feel okay doing that. But you've practiced it a little bit. Give yourself some practice time. Like, make sure that you are giving yourself some time at first to really fill your tank before you just say, okay, lay it on me. I'm okay. I'll get to myself later.
Find someone that you feel comfortable saying no with. And honestly, for a lot of people, that's why they get a coach.
Yeah.
Because in a situation with a coach, we can be with you and give you opportunities to not people please.
Absolutely.
And we will. And we'll just say no. Prioritize yourself, empower you to be able to get your priorities straight and hold those boundaries where you want to hold them.
Yeah.
But find someone that you feel comfortable, that you feel safe saying no to, and practice.
Even in church, my husband is a pastor. So even at church, I am guilty of sometimes my mind just wondering, and I need to do this and I need to do this. And what I started doing is I would open the note on my phone. And just like you said, it doesn't have to be so rigid, that I had my phone and my notes. And what I would do when something would come to me, I would write in the note and I'd put my phone down so I could focus back on what he was saying. So every time something popped into my head, it was like a to-do list.
Yeah.
I just put it and I put the phone down and I'd focus back on what he said. And what happened after I got about 3 or 4 things out, it stopped. It stopped. And I was able to listen to him. But if I didn't get it out, it was just going because I was saying, don't get on my phone. I'm not getting on my phone. I'll just think about, okay, I've got to do this. I don't know. I'm not, it's fine. It's fine. But finally I just said, what can I do? I'm going to get my note out. Okay, call this person after that, period. Tell Lauren about this, Just, I wrote it. And I promise you, about 3 or 4 into them, it quit. It quieted my mind.
Awesome.
And I was able to just focus. So like she said, that's the point she's making. It doesn't have to be so rigid. You can find a way. But it was, instead of replying to so-and-so's email, I wrote, reply to, so-and-so.
Get back to it.
Get back to her this afternoon. Get back to her on Monday. And I didn't have to take the time while he's preaching to reply to an email right there. I didn't have to do that. Write it on the to-do list, and then I could focus. That's what it's about. Boundaries.
Boundaries. We will continue to talk about boundaries over the course of our podcast because it's so important in so many aspects of our lives to be able to, I feel like we keep saying prioritize, but it's all about your priorities, and help you identify what those priorities are and then how to maintain them, because it takes so much practice to get to a point where you can say no to other people, to yourself, to your loved ones, to work, to whatever, and knowing where is the place that you need to say no, and where the place is that you have a little bit of wiggle room to make things work. But you'll get there.
Yes.
You can do it.
You can. Yeah. Just some practice and some boundaries. Small ones. Start small.
Little baby steps.
Just start small.
Thank you so much for being here today. Please remember to subscribe, to follow for notifications. Make sure you hit that little bell down there. Follow us on social media. Please send in your questions. We love hearing from you. We love them. We love hearing how you're doing. You can drop your questions in the comments. You can hit us up in our DMs. You can find us on, all of your favorite social media platforms. We just love hearing from you and helping you along. And as you've heard us say many times, this is our passion.
Yes.
And we love sharing it with you. Thanks so much for being here today.
Bye,
See you
guys.
next time.